Welcome to Spotlight. I'm Rian Keating. Today we're privileged to have the opportunity to interview Theresa Merritt of Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. Theresa, welcome. This is a pleasure, and congratulations on your Tony nomination.
Thank you, Ryan.
What were your first impressions when you read Ma Rainey?
Well, first of all, whether or not I could do the role. Because she was a little different character from the kind of roles that I've been playing, you know. And I always played those sweet, loving mamas, you know. And I just wondered if I could really bring out all of those qualities and also bring out the other side, you know, that sweet side, the caring side of it, you know.
How were you able to do that? Because while on one hand she's very tough, there's also a lot of vulnerability we see in your interpretation.
Well, I did what some actors call recall, and in life I'm a very observant person, and I have worked with some very strong ladies, and I've observed when I first met them, I probably thought that they were very tough, maybe mean. But as I grew in my own career and traveled around the world and met the world and really began to deal with the world, I realized that they weren't mean. They just had to be that way to deal with the world. It's very hard for a woman in a man's world. And Ma Rainey was the leader of her group, and business-wise. And first of all, she was traveling in a segregated world, and which she knew that she was going to be taken advantage of. So she had to weigh just how much her worth was and how far she was going to let them take advantage of her. Oh, they took advantage of her to a point, but she measured just about how far they were going to go. And she knew how far to go. She played little games with them, you know, and then she would give in. She's a very shrewd woman. Some people think that she died a poor woman. She was a well-off woman.
Well, I think you had said in one interview that every successful businesswoman had an element of Ma Rainey within her.
I think so. I'm sure. You have to be a little hard. Because people tend to walk over you when you're very soft and sweet sometimes in the business world, you know. So I think sometimes they try you to see what you're made of. So sometimes you have to put on that veneer. Maybe you're not that way. Hard. And just let them know now, here I am.
When you first started out in show business, how were you able to reach that point where you have those defenses?
When I first started out, well, I started out as a soubrette. And my eyes were wide, starry. And I was just in love with everything, the world. So I didn't bother too much about people taking advantage of me. But when I set my eyes toward the stars and wanted to do something a little different, then I had learned now on the way, watching others climb. And you must absorb as you climb, you know. Then I suppose that's when I started to put on my veneer.
You had made your Broadway debut in Carmen Jones, but
21 years ago.
What I wanted to ask you, you had been touring that in the South, where you were segregated in Pullman cars, which...
Well, we didn't tour too much in the South. We just had a very short tour of the South. We tried it, but it didn't work too long. We thought that we were going to have an extensive tour, but it didn't work too well. And we thought that we would use the Pullman cars, which would keep us from having to use the hotels, motels, that would save us from being segregated so much, but we still ran into it.
Well, one of the, I think, strongest things about Ma Rainey, it deals with prejudice within a racial group.
Mm-hmm.
And do you find through the years that still is very much evident?
Oh yes, it still exists. It may not be as blatant in some instances as it was years ago. They're taking the signs down now, colored or black or Negro or whatever, but it's still there, and it crops up in many forms, and you must always be aware. Some might say that black people keep the chip on their shoulders. Well, if you don't keep that chip on your shoulder, they'll just knock you right down.
One thing one critic said that Ma Rainey has a lot to do with women's liberation.
I hadn't thought too much about it until several women came to me, I think opening night of the play, and they said how much they liked the character of Ma Rainey, and especially when it came to the signing of the contract. And when they said, I didn't want you to sign that contract, and I said, well, why? I said, because she was just playing her game there. And they said, no. She said, we just didn't want you to sign. I said, well, then the men would have been out of work. I couldn't have been out of work if I had. But I think when you have to get out and make a living for yourself, you are liberated. Because you don't have any shelter to fall under. You must remember, Ma Rainey learned her craft from her husband. She had been married to a man who taught her the craft, Mr. Rainey. And that's how she got the name of Rainey. Yes.
You had done some backup singing for Mahalia Jackson, if I'm not mistaken.
At one time on recording sessions.
How did you find her work with?
She was a very strong lady too. Yes. I never traveled with her, just did some recording background with her. That's how I used to supplement my income when I wasn't doing a Broadway show. And I did a lot of chorus singing.
Talking about women who would rather be an individualist as opposed to conforming, one of your idols was Marian Anderson.
Yes, when I was a young girl, she came from my hometown, Philadelphia, and my eyes were set for the concert stage and as a singer. And when she made her debut, it sort of just made me feel that that's what I could do too, And it never occurred to me that she was singing European music. It was just that she was singing this great music, and everybody had accepted it. The world had accepted it. And I said, well, maybe they would accept me singing it, because for most of us, they accepted us singing only the spirituals, which is nothing wrong with it, but never in the languages, And so, yes, I went down to the store and everything. I heard her sing. I bought it at Theodore Precious in Philadelphia, and I learned how to sing it.
At what point did you start taking your voice seriously and really
studying?
Well,
I was walking through the halls of my junior high school, and the band teacher called me aside and asked me if I wanted to study voice. And it hadn't occurred to me, that I had to study. And I said, yes. So he gave me a letter of introduction to the Settlement Music School in Philadelphia. And I went down and was interviewed by the head of the school, and his question was, why did I want to study voice? I couldn't think of it at the time, so he asked me to go home and write an essay, which I did. And I don't know what I said, but anyway, after that, I was assigned my first voice lesson with Miss Vera Brinkoff, who's passed on, and she was such a wonderful teacher. He gave me such an insight into the vocal music and to the European music and all the things that I get from it. Yes, and the career that I could have if I pursued it.
When did you come to New York?
I came to New York to do Carmen Jones because Billy Rose auditioned the talent for that show regionally, just like you do the men singers. And I was auditioning in Philadelphia, was chosen to come and audition here again, was chosen. That's how that particular company was made up of singers from all over the United States.
Well, what a wonderful adaptation, as I understand it.
Yes.
How was it received when it first opened?
Oh my, well, you know, Billy Rose was like Ziegfeld, you know, he was a great entrepreneur and he spent a lot of money for his productions. I'm not going to say that we got the money, they were lavish productions. And, well, I guess the enigma was the fact that black people were singing pop. You know, because they didn't change any of the notes of that. Just Hammerstein changed the words, had written the original. We did sing it in dialect. He didn't think that it would be acceptable. It's strange though, isn't it? Back in the 40s, now here, the war years of fighting this war, and the public, or those people who were right, Hammerstein did not think that we would be acceptable on the stage singing just the regular English language. Isn't that strange?
Was he surprised by its success?
Oh, I'm sure that he wasn't surprised. I'm sure that they wouldn't have gone into it if they didn't think that it would have been acceptable, because they had gone to every music school and the dancing schools, because he wanted the best ballerinas that he could find. He had too many. He had some people who were studying the ballet. Yes, the well-trained dancers and singers that came here. So they were quite a conglomerate of what they call the class of talent. And I suppose the beginning of some great careers. Because New York is where you should be. People to study.
You had your reunion with the Carmen Jones Company last year.
Yes, and then we had, which was overwhelming. Some of us hadn't seen each other in 40 years. Some had seen me because I'd been on the television. And it was just wonderful. It was tearful. And then we had another reunion in, excuse me. Excuse me. We had another reunion May 5th. Which was very exciting. Excuse me, I have a little cough. Yes. Thank you. Nice blue tissue.
You could just change the, just bring it into a close-up. Let me just turn this air conditioner on. Okay, great. How did you go from Carmen Jones branching out into acting? Did you find it hard to leave your singing behind? And
well, you know, when we did that show, we had to act, and we had a stage director who taught us to act, and we had also had a choral director, so we had to do both. And so I started going to attending plays, and going to the rehearsals of my friends who were in the plays, and I started going to dancing classes, and just watching and just listening and just learning that way how to act. Because I just watched some very good actors as I came along. Because when you did musicals, you decided that you wanted to act and you went to audition for a drama, they would say, well, what is your background? And I said, well, it's musical theater. And they said, well, what dramas have you done? And I said, well, you have to act in a musical Well, they wouldn't take that. So then I stopped doing musical and just started auditioning just for dramas. And I used to very find people who were actors, and I would take my material and sit with them and we would read it, you know, and just work it out, you know. And if I was given a side to learn for an audition, I would take it and go back and read it. 9 times out of 10, I get the job.
You would audition for Eddie Dowling, whom it's rumored the only things he would ask his actors auditioning is to say, "I love you and I believe in God." Did you find that the case with yourself?
No, I didn't hear that. No. The play that I had done was called Our Land, and it started down at the Henry Street Settlement, which used to do a lot of plays. And then it was brought up to the Royal Theater, and he directed it there. So that's how I got to meet him.
He's probably best known for The Glass Menagerie, which he started and directed. How did you find him to work with as a director?
Just a wonderful man. And I think the lady who started The Glass Menagerie was in our play. I can't think of her name.
Lorette Taylor?
No,
Julie Hayden.
Julie Hayden, that's right.
One of the things you're probably best known for to the American public, is That's My Mama.
That's right.
Which, when it first came on the air, was called by one critic, "That's my stereotype," which I think to the general public doesn't make sense.
I don't understand how anybody calls it a stereotype. You play the mama, you play the mama. And I don't know whether it's black, Italian, or what. And I did the show, and I didn't think it was a stereotypical role. I had so many youngsters come up to me who would say, "Well, you just remind me of my mother." You know, she said the same things. You know, in that particular episode that I was doing, because we performed before a live audience. You know, so I didn't quite understand that. I don't understand critics or why they say some of the things they do. I don't know what you have to do. Black people have to do to keep from being stereotyped. Because I've seen some things on television here recently that, in fact, there was something called Mama, and if that wasn't stereotypical, I don't know. That was it was a white mother, so I didn't know. It was just really overboard. It just went way over the other side. It didn't make much sense.
Almost to a character.
Yeah, that's right. So I don't understand. I don't understand what they say. If they would define it for me sometimes, then I think the next time if I meet a critic who says that, or if he writes it, I wish that he would just define what he means stereotypical. Because I think what maybe he's saying a mammy, I don't know. And I certainly wasn't dressed as a mammy, and I certainly wasn't a mammy. Mammies are one. And mammies I thought were old ladies who wore bandanas in the old days in the plantations, who took care of the babies and nursed the babies, you know, that sort of thing. And I didn't think that I was that. In fact, I know it wasn't, so I don't have to think about it, but I know it wasn't that. So.
Well, I think critics sometimes just get too carried away with being intellectual.
I know that once I did a TV play, and I wasn't even thinking about doing it. And I remember when I got the role, they said to me, you know, we were going back and forth with it. And I said, well, why? They said, well, because of the social stigma. I said, what do you mean social stigma? They said, well, we were going to go the other way, but you had all the characters we wanted, all the qualities of the character we wanted. And we were going to get a slim mama. And I said, it's just nonsense. You come in. All moms are not slim, you know, and all moms are not big, you know. They're just different. I'm just not going to go over and shed all my poundage to play a mama. You know?
Well, did you accept the job?
Oh yes, because it was a wonderful role. It was a wonderful role. I think it's what you yourself bring to the character, you know. It's how I feel about it myself. I think it's what counts.
Now you have 4 children of your own.
Yes, I do.
And your mother had died when you were very young.
Yes, I do.
And because you were very independent early on, not having had a mother, how has it helped you become a mother? Do you find that you're overly protective, or you're...
Well, I suppose I am. My aunt raised me. She was great. I wish sometimes I had been as strict as she was with me. But you do find yourself compensating. You didn't have mom, because I just kind of like the sound. That sound, mom, you know, it sounds great. To have your kid, my kids say it to me, because mom, my mom says mommy all the time. She wouldn't say it, mommy, but just say mom, you know. It's nice, and I think it's nice to be able to say it yourself, which I've never been able to say.
One of the things you had said in an interview that you were the two accomplishments in your life that you were most proud of, that you had a successful marriage and a successful career. How have you been able to balance both of them?
Well, I don't know how balanced they are, but I'm married to a very understanding husband who believed in the career, and his personality is just so different from mine. I think you have to have that too. And was always willing to just jump right in when I needed the help. It was always there. It still is today. And you have to have, some people have to go outside of the family to get somebody else to come in to be with them. You know, I had him, so that was one of the reasons why my marriage lasted so long. He enjoys the theater and all that kind of thing, you know. And so and I make sure that he's a part of what I do. I think that's important too. I try very hard not to exclude him, because you can in what you do and in your success. To almost forget the other person, other people, because you're so busy with what you're doing, you know. So I try very hard not to forget.
When you were raising your children, did you ever have that conflict as well, where there was a part you might want to take, but you were reticent to take it because it might take you out of town?
Yes, yes, that has come, yes. I always try to work around the schedules of the school and whatever, you know. Or if I had to go work, it's not so far that I couldn't get back.
Well, you've been very fortunate. Our time is up.
All right.
I'm so delighted you were able to stop by today.
Oh, thank you.
Thank you. I'm Rian Keating, and you've been watching Spotlight. Our guest today has been Theresa Merritt from Ma Rainey's Black Bottom. If you have any comments or suggestions, you can write to myself in care of Perot Productions, 640 10th Avenue, New York, 10036. Spotlight airs Tuesday evenings at 8:30 on Channel D, Saturday mornings at 11:30 on Channel C, and Wednesday mornings at 1 a.m. on Channel C. Until next week, this is Rian Keating. Have a good week. Thanks so much.